Hello, my name is Francis Flanagan, and this is a project demonstration for WTWR, or What to Wear. This project was done as a part of TripleTen's software engineering program. Its goal is to suggest articles of clothing to users based on the temperature of a location. This was my first time building a single page application using MongoDB, Express, React, and Node, so it was a very good experience for me. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the technologies I use before we take a look at some of the aspects of the site. So on the front end, the main thing I used to build it was React. And the reason I used React was so that I could use reusable components for things like the item card and the header and the weather card here. In addition to that, I was able to use React hooks in order to handle things like state variables and manage the state that way. Another thing I used on the front end is React Router, which is a library that lets me handle the routes of the website quickly and without having to reload or refresh the page every time I change the route. On the back end, I used Node.js to take advantage of the several different libraries and packages that it offers, as well as being able to write my server-side code in JavaScript. I set up the server using Express to handle the requests for things like creating a user or signing a user in, also for creating new clothing cards, for deleting the cards, for liking the cards, and unliking the cards. To set up the database, I used MongoDB and I used a library called Mongoose so that I could handle things like creating the models and setting up the schema. In addition to all of that, on the back end, I used various libraries and packages, including things for handling rate limiting, for setting security headers for HTTP requests, as well as password hashing and logging requests and logging errors. So let's take a look at what the site can do. So here we have the suggested articles of clothing based on the temperature. If we click on the card, we'll get more information about the card. We have the name and we have the weather category. So the the weather category we're seeing right now is warm based on the temperature. So all of these will be warm articles of clothing. Um, if the article of clothing is something that my profile specifically added, we will see a delete button here. So we can delete an article of clothing if we'd like. Let's go ahead and try. Okay, we can also like an article of clothing and it'll fill in the heart, or we can unlike and remove the heart. If we look at our profile, we can see articles of clothing that we added. We can change our profile data. We can change our name to something else. Okay, we can log out if we want, or we can add a new article of clothing. So why don't we go ahead and add a new article of clothing. So if we get something from Unsplash, we can use it without worrying about copyright issues. So add the URL, click warm, and we can add a garment here. So now we have a t-shirt card. If we go back to the main page, we'll also see our new t-shirt card there. One of the main challenges I had when building this site was dealing with this toggle switch up here. The functionality is not very complicated. Just if you click it, then it'll change the display here from Celsius to Fahrenheit or vice versa. And the biggest issue was styling it. So if we notice the F and C are different colors, the font color is different, and when you hover over it, we can see the non-checked temperature letter changes. When we click it, the black circle needs to shift over and the F and C need to switch font colors. So this was a bit of a challenge for me, but after some research and using things like pseudo classes in CSS and class combinators, I was able to implement something that I was satisfied with, works pretty smoothly, and it looks good. So I'm happy with that. In the future, some things that I would like to change or add are things like adding form validation. When we sign up or add something, there's no form validation at the moment. Um, and also, the site is not really responsive at the moment. So I would like to fix those two things. For the form validation, I know I could use a library like React Hook Form that has many different hooks that I can use uh, to handle form validation. And for responsiveness, I was thinking I could add a library like Tailwind to handle the CSS, make it a little bit more concise, and make it easier to handle all of that stuff. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed WTWR What to Wear.